Simon Whitlock, Ian White and now Steve Beaton all through to the final day of action here at the International Darts Open at the Saxon Arena in Riesa. And now it is time to please be upstanding for the customary 107 average from Joe Cullen to start a European Tour campaign. Because that's what he tends to do. Goes off like an absolute train, looks like he's going to win one of these, and then at some point something happens. Either he puts in a very average display and gets beaten, or somebody does something massively special to stop him. We saw that Michael van Gerwen beating him with an unstoppable performance when we returned from the summer break in Hildesheim. We saw him mismatch darts against Ricky Evans in the quarterfinal last week in Maastricht. Joe Cullen keeps on threatening to win one of these. Could he finally do it? The question we asked seemingly every time we turn up on the European Tour. Well, he's got his hands full with Ross Smith, who is just a new player. Took his time away from the game and has come back, and for my money, I think he's throwing as well as I've seen him, Ross Smith. Looks a very dangerous player.
First leg, Joe to throw first. Game on.
I'm Dan Dawson, Paul Nicholson alongside me for this one.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dan. I think Ross Smith looks fab. I think that little break from the game has done him the world of good. I think sometimes you just hit the wall with a game of darts, and sport in general, really. A lot of people saying that Alistair Cook shouldn't have retired. He should have just taken a couple of series off, come back refreshed. He's not exactly an old man, but smart Ross Smith took that break. He's come back and looks as good as ever.
134.
Well, we've just seen Max Hopp beaten by Steve Beaton. I mean, obviously a magical moment as Beaton fans literally screaming his head off there, as you can hear in the background. They're all at it. But it was Max Hopp that Ross Smith beat last weekend in Maastricht in a stunning come-from-behind victory. 4-0 and 5-1 down. Won it with a 160 checkout in the last leg with Max on a finish. It's the sort of stuff that, well, when Ross Smith was really making a name for himself, winning loads of stuff on what was called the Challenge Tour at the time, but was effectively the Youth Tour. And he was one of the hottest prospects in the game
92.
at that point. The sort of thing we expected to see from Ross Smith, but it didn't really happen for him first time around. And this is his second go in senior PDC darts.
105.
You think Joe Cullen's the best player at the minute not to have a European title? Arguably, probably Daryl Gurney.
Gurney, well, Rob Cross doesn't have one either.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him.
He's not here this weekend.
97.
But
That's not going to help.
Well, just put it this way. As Cullen, lovely darts.
85.
Doesn't find the double 12. Let's just see if Ross Smith can
116.
nick this one against the throw.
These are the kinds of shots you want to gobble up. Open 60. Ooh, the line was good. Just a bit under pitched.
They require 12.
Joe should love double six.
And
he does.
Joe Cullen.
Said it many, many
Second
times,
is
probably
Ross
for the last
first.
8 days, actually.
Game on.
From a right-hander's perspective, who's right-eye dominant, double six should be really, really easy, because all you got to do is get the line right.
Yeah.
You get the weight totally wrong, well, as long as you don't go way high and hit double 30 and double
99.
10. But the margin for error on the weight is huge. But the line, get that right, sorted.
But to return to your previous point about players, the best players not to have won a Euro Tour. Yes, I mean, there are plenty who haven't won Euro Tours, and you could go back. You're going to see a guy tonight who, a few years ago, had threatened to win major titles, and he never won a European Tour, Terry Jenkins. You know, we talked about Terry Jenkins being the best player never to have won a major. You know, not winning a Euro Tour is perhaps another thing that you could class him as the best player not to do. I think
85.
when you look at Joe Cullen, he is very, very similar in my thinking to how Jelle Klaasen was a couple of years ago, when he saved his best stuff at the European Tour regularly in quarterfinals, semi-finals, and you just thought it was a matter of time before he wins one, and it still has not happened.
Well, judging by his shirt, he's won 5,000 world titles.
140.
Well, one of the things I really like about Joe Cullen is that his attitude suggests that you know, he strides around the place as if he has won 5,000 world titles. I like that confidence. I like that brash attitude. I like the fact that Joe Cullen, every time he steps on stage, just behaves in a way that he thinks, I can sweep all you lot aside.
We were talking earlier about the Conor McGregor-Nurmagomedov fight, weren't we? And who could portray the Conor McGregor style dart player? It was maybe Cullen for me. He's got the attitude for it. He's got the swagger.
I love that. I mean, you know, that's why
42.
Still love watching Kevin Painter. He's got that.
He's got the best inhale in darts, Kevin Painter.
60. Russia requires 64.
Watch out for that next time you watch him on the Pro Tour. He's got the best inhale. It's very deliberate.
Keep an eye out for that one.
Treble 16 for Ross. 16 or an 8. Keep going.
48.
Not far enough.
Cullen can strike right up the middle. Perfect. Double 10. Oh, that's a great steal from an experienced campaigner on the European Tour, Joe Cullen. Might not be averaging 107, but he's getting the job done.
Well, Joe Cullen thinks he should be in the discussion for the Premier League. However, he has also admitted that winning one of these Euro Tour titles, he does not feel would be enough to get him into the Premier League. He's got to go and do something in one of the big TV tournaments.
He's right.
I think he is right. He very nearly beat Gary Anderson, the world match play that would have put him in the semi-finals, and that might have been enough. Now, Joe Cullen has also felt that he has been perhaps unfairly overlooked for a World Series spot, and I think you can make a case with Cullen, who has been playing fantastically on the European Tour for a long while now, and has won PDC titles.
I think if Joe progresses within the top 16 in the next 6 months, I think the next logical step for him is the World Series. Do what they did with Dimitri and took Gerwyn Price and Daryl Gurney over to Vegas, gave them that huge stage exposure, and consequently after that, Daryl and Gezi were picked for the Premier League via good performances. I think winning titles and continuing to play well on the European Tour and maintaining and getting a better world ranking is only going to do him favours in the future. But you can't start thinking about Premier League in September, in my opinion. You've got to focus on winning titles. Ross Smith has got to focus on 18 and bull here. Oh, that and double 7. Oh, yeah, that's very aggressive and very effective. To break straight back. Just to echo Dan Dawson's sentiments about Ross Smith version 2, it's very, very good.
It is good. Well, Joe Cullen, the Euro Tour has saved his season because at the start of the year he wasn't playing well on the Players' Championship Series at all. The Pro Tour stuff has not been pretty good this year from Joe. You look at the averages and he's only averaging, well, it's less than 91. Ooh, well, bold to stay up there with a loose dart, but he is nothing if not bold, Mr. Cullen. However, last year he was playing fantastically in the Pro Tour and won a couple of titles. As Ross fills it up again, that is 180s in 3 consecutive legs.
I can't remember the last time Joe Cullen lost on a Saturday on the Euro Tour.
It hasn't happened very often. It has happened, but it's not happened very often, certainly not this year. And in fact, I will tell you, because there was one.
Is that the countdown clock?
The Dutch Darts Masters is where he lost in the second round in Zwolle. Yes, quite right. Joe Cullen beaten by Jermaine Watermainer. That was when Jermaine suddenly decided to come out flapping his arms around like a distressed bird and really engage with the crowd for the first time in his career.
Well, I was going to dub him as Germany Watermainer today, but he didn't turn up very well against Dan Noppert. Noppert was very, very good. Ross Smith is looking for the bait, one of the biggest fish in the pond. And it's just lost a bite at the end.
Oh,
39.
Not what he was after. Not as much pressure as he would have liked. Big difference between a Shanghai finish and a 140. But it doesn't matter because that's a 14 darter for Ross Smith. Now, just to highlight how poor Joe Cullen has been on the Pro Tour stuff, the floor tournaments, that 91 average
93.
is almost 5 points less than his career record on the Euro Tour. That's over every single game on the Euro Tour. That's 60 games over a number of years for Joe Cullen. And he is averaging 96 almost. That is stunning.
I think he may have found his wheelhouse.
Well, I think he's a stage player, that's the thing. But the problem is, this is the problem that Dimitri has to a lesser extent, is that his best stuff comes out on stage. But you've got to qualify for the stage tournaments. Dimitri has not been doing that all year, despite making a World Series final and the quarterfinal of the World Championship and winning the World Youth Championship the back end of last year.
Yeah, you can almost, over the last 3 months or so, have a game of where's Dimitri?
Well, yeah, quite. But, at least Dimitri is trying to qualify for them. He's not, he's not staying at home and just going out, not bother with the Euro Tour. But Joe Cullen, he's getting these chances because of his superb stuff on the Euro Tour and playing fantastically. And this would be a bit special, wouldn't it, Joe Cullen? Oh, that is a bit special.
Selected Ross to throw first. Game on.
We have talked, Rob Malarkey and I, today about that shot being arguably the most difficult shot on the board.
The 143.
143. Can't be done with two of the same treble. You've got to go all over the place. It's like a broken compass.
Well, you say that, but one of our colleagues, and look at those numbers, they're pretty impressive. 103 for Ross Smith. Joe Cullen climbing towards the 100 mark. The 143 is actually an interesting one. You can go like an Alan Norris route. Alan Norris is like Manchester in that he's got strange ways. 143, you can go the Chris Murphy / Alan Norris avenue of opportunity.
Oh,
treble 14 and treble 11.
Down the left.
Yeah. 180 for Joe Cullen, that's his first, yeah. Right next to each other, two trebles. Again, like you were saying about the double six, the weight doesn't matter. As long as you get the line right, one of those trebles goes in, you can still go treble and ball.
Doesn't matter if you get the treble 14 or the treble 11, you've still got to revisit a different side of the board twice after that. So if you get the 33, you've got 110, so that's 60 bull. 42 leaves 91, that's down the bottom to go back to the top.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Well, these guys do it for breakfast, don't they? We've had a stack of 180s from Ross Smith. We've had that 143 finish and a ton finish from Joe. It's been a great contest. Wouldn't be surprised if Joe takes this as well, but have to find a 60 with dart 2. Bullseye, or maybe not.
98.
I think that's a sensible decision from Joe Cullen in that situation.
There are people in this field who would have gone for that if their opponent was on 499.
Well, Ross Smith has just had a go at the 167, hasn't he, when Joe wasn't on a finish, but that was the point where Ross Smith was flying. And
32.
Joe Cullen may have just weathered the storm, and so many times so far today we have seen big checkouts change the course of games. We saw it, Ian White taking out the 164 against Jelle Klaassen. We saw Martin Schindler taking out the 158 against Kim Huybrechts in the opening game of the day. They set the tone quite early on, and they just stopped the opponent in the tracks. And Joe Cullen, Ross Smith averaging well over 100 at that point, looked like he was going to get the leg, and a 143 checkout for a 12 darter. Just to hold his throw at that point, felt like Joe was clinging on in this game, and now it feels like he's the aggressor again. He did this against Darryl Gurney last week in a fabulous game of darts. Both seeded players clashing, and it went all the way, went deep into the game. And Joe said, I felt like I was chasing him all the while at the start and just managing to win legs with my finishing. And then that's when I managed to turn the tables.
125.
Games can ever, you can see games go with a hold a throw, hold a throw, hold a throw, but the sort of feeling of where you are in a game can change.
140.
You must get that when you're playing a game. You can, it could just be going with throw, but sometimes you feel like you're on top, and sometimes you feel like you're really just struggling to keep pace with your opponent.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I think the person that comes to mind was Nathan Aspinall. When I played against him earlier in the season on the Euro Tour, I was in massive command of that game. I just never felt under threat. I was just cruising. It's great when that happens.
36.
Ultimately, you play against the same opponent in a totally different venue, and you just go hammer and tongs for 11 legs. and one dart separates you in the end.
Fine margins.
100. Jay require 107.
Well, he's already done something special. Oh, he fancied it, you know. He's not the best poker player in the world, Joe. He does
36.
let you know how he feels with his facial expressions. And he'll feel sick as a chip if Ross Smith hits his 36. Nice and high with the first one. This switch is awkward.
27.
Now can Joe take out 71?
71.
Treble 13. He's going to have one dart at tops. And he gets it. That's what Joe Cullen does on a Saturday. He picks your pockets. You miss. He ain't gonna.
Well, this is not the 107 average that we've often seen from Joe Cullen in the opening round, but it is defying an average of over 100 from Ross Smith. It is still in the high 90s. Oh, it's just dipped below 100 for Ross Smith, but it's still a very impressive display from Ross Smith, and he is losing 5-2 because Joe Cullen, in the big moments, has taken out what he needs to. Obviously the 143. That's 71, just as important. The 100 checkout in the second leg. All of these moments, Joe Cullen has stepped up, and it's because he just believes that he should be doing this. These are games he should be winning, and so when these moments arrive, he just steps up, seemingly without apprehension, and just goes through his processes and makes it happen.
96.
And most of the time on the Euro Tour, it works for him. But he keeps running up against that barrier in the quarters or the semis, where a bit of luck goes against him, or his performance level just massively drops, or somebody does something magnificent, and it ends. And once again, Joe Cullen was absolutely incandescent with rage last weekend when he went out to Ricky Evans.
Well, you've got to keep scaling the wall. You can't climb the wall unless you try.
41.
It's a bit like that movie, Officer and a Gentleman. There was a woman who tried to scale the big net, and she couldn't do it, and she got some help from people, and then eventually she scaled it, and everything was good in the world.
I did not anticipate that analogy
85.
this evening.
Do
Do you anticipate the big fish, Nico?
No. But I did have a little bit more information after that first start.
57.
It was an easier call to make when you made it.
Absolutely. 56 for Ross to stay in the game. Tops. Yeah, right in the corner. That's the dart in tops. That's the equivalent of a Zidane penalty. Right in the bottom corner. No goalie in the world would save that one.
100.
This is one of those MVG moments, I feel. You've got to pull your socks up.
Works for him. Might be working for Ross Smith. 180 number 4 for Smudger.
Any idea why it's called Smudger?
57.
I like the curse better.
Well, yeah.
There's dart players out there with 2 nicknames, isn't there? Like Northie.
Northie's got about 6 nicknames. Many of which we can't broadcast.
Yeah. Well, the rock star, on the back of his shirt, it's like it's in Eastern European language. It's the rock star.
Well, it is the Demolition Man, formerly the Sniper, who awaits the winner of this one, Darren Webster, following his victory over Mickey Mansell. Joe Cullen was in danger in this leg and has kind of turned it around. Ross Smith will be anxious as Cullen steps up looking at that 111. He will be less anxious if he piles in a 180 to leave tops.
And one thing we know about Darren Webster is that he's hungry this weekend, and the other thing we know about him is that no bathroom is safe. Not even his own bathroom.
Yeah, just for clarity, if you're wondering, he smashed up his own bathroom with a hammer because he was bored the other day. Treble 17. Leaves tops for the match.
91.
Well, this will be a bit of a Hollywood saver. One little red bit, one green bit on the outside, the donut shot. Needed the jam first. Gets the green. Not going to get a shot at a double now.
45.
Game set and possibly match Cullen.
Double 10. completes the win. A 6-3 victory. That may look comfortable for Joe Cullen.